To rotate the bender head into the horizontal position, you'll need to pull the positioning pin, which is here, and to unscrew the position locking screw. So make sure the position locking screw is back up enough so that it's not engaged in the bender head, and then pull the position locking screw. You may have to lift up slightly on the handle to relieve the pressure, and then rotate the bender into the horizontal position. When you finish rotating the head into the horizontal position, you can tighten the position locking screw to hold the head into position. To stabilize and level the bender once you get it into position, there are 4 leveling screws. There's 2 on this end and 2 on the other end. You can use a 1/2 inch wrench to put on the top of the hex screw in order to level the bender. In order to transport the bender, you can use either the fork pockets, and you can access those from either side, or you can use slings. And with the bender in the horizontal position, there is an eye for a sling on this side, and there's an eye for the sling on the other side. You can sling it, or with the bender in this position, with of course your leveling screws, once they've been lifted, you can push the bender where you want it to go. Always do it in the horizontal position because you have much more leverage, and you also have this handle that you can push, and the shoe will be pointing up. In order to show you bending in the vertical position, I'm going to undo the position locking screw, make sure it clears the bender, and then I'm going to pull the positioning pin, and I've got my hand on the handle, as you can see here. I'm going to pull the positioning pin. I let the pressure off of the positioning pin by lifting up just a little, and then I'm going to maintain control, and then the position pin will lock back in place, and I will tighten the position locking screw. That'll help take out the excess play in the head of the bender. We've removed the shoe so that you can see the pointer arrow, and you'll notice that the pointer arrow is marked in 2 places, 1 on each arrow. This arrow is used for the 1/2 to 1.25 inch shoe, and on the other side is marked for the 1.5 to 2 inch shoe.
The bender is equipped with a proximity sensor to indicate the degrees of bend. So there are 2 ways you can either use the degree arrow to see the degree that you're bending to, and you also have a prox sensor that stops the pointer. It's also an actuator for the prox sensor, so it'll stop when you rotate in the clockwise direction. The way you'll be bending, it'll stop at the location that you've set your prox sensor. If, for instance, you needed to get your 1/2 to 1.25 inch arrow back to the start, if you're going to use your small shoe, then you just go counterclockwise, and it'll go right past the prox sensor.
There are 3 pin-on roller supports. The first roller support is for 1/2 to 1.25 inch EMT, IMC, and rigid, and that's this one. The middle one is for 1.5 inch and 2 inch rigid, and the third pin-on roller support is for 1.5 inch and 2 inch IMC and EMT. The 1.5 inch and 2 inch pin-on roller support that I just showed you on the table is also used in conjunction with the EMT and IMC built-in roller support that's a permanent part of the unit. So these are used in conjunction when you're bending 1.5 inch and 2 inch EMT and IMC. The only time you use the built-in EMT and IMC roller supports is when you're bending 1.5 inch and 2 inch EMT and IMC.
So I'll install the 1/2 to 1.25 inch shoe.
These are the 2 large, and these are the 2 small draw studs.
So if you'll notice, the hooks are color-coded. Silver hooks for EMT conduit, the blue hooks for IMC and rigid. So let's say we want to bend EMT. We'll put the silver hook down. So we're going to bend a piece of 3/4 EMT. So I'm going to pin on my roller support that's correct for 1/2 to 1.25 inches of all types of conduit. I have the shoe in the position with the EMT hook in approximately the 6 o'clock position. And as we talked about before, I have the correct arrow on that side. So now I can refer to the springback chart on the top of the bender to determine if I bend a 90-degree angle or a 90-degree bend for 3/4 EMT. You can see on the chart I go to the 3/4 and then the 90-degree bend, and that shows that I need to set my proc sensor at approximately 97 degrees. So when you're setting the proc sensor, you can set the center portion is the proc sensor itself. These two are the mounting studs for the proc sensor. So you can see I've set the circle approximately above 97 degrees. As in any bend, the first one gets you very close. Then you can use the proc sensor and it'll stay in this location so you can do repeat bends very accurately. Okay, so I'm going to bend a piece of 3/4 EMT conduit, and to load through the hook, you need to be in about the -10 or the 10-degree location below the 0 mark. Allows you the clearance to get through the hook. So notice that I still had the jog button depressed, but it stopped automatically on the procs, where the proc sensor was set. So now I can go into the unload position on my switch. Okay, so now to bend 2-inch EMT, we've pinned on our pin-on roller support accessory to be used in conjunction with our built-in rollers. And you'll notice that they're marked EMT on one side and IMC on the other, and the 1.5 and 2 turn together, so you can position which the type you're going to bend so that you can read that it's EMT. You can see it's on top. So I've put the shoe with the silver hook for EMT down in about the 6 o'clock position, with the arrow at around the -10, 10 below 0. And I've rotated the pointer so that the 1.5 and 2-inch pointer is on the correct side. So now I've loaded my conduit in. I've started with the squeeze adjustment where it's recommended in approximately there again the 6 o'clock position to begin with. You can see by the decal going clockwise decreases the squeeze, and going counterclockwise increases the squeeze. To do this, you pull the spring-loaded pin, and it's very easily adjustable. Okay, so to bend 2-inch EMT conduit, we've already consulted our springback chart, and we've set our bend degree limit switch where it should be. So we're ready to bend. Okay, so now you place your foot on the lever for the roller support, and you apply pressure to the lever to move your rollers up into position against the conduit. You're in the bend position on your pendant switch, and when you keeping pressure with your foot, you can see the arm on the roller support and it will cam over and go against the stop. Then you can release the pressure. Okay, so the bender has a lockable storage compartment that holds all of your pin-on roller supports, the rigid, the IMC and EMT, and the small roller support, and the pin will all fit into this compartment.
The unit also has 2 lockable swivel casters on one end of the unit, so to keep it from rolling, you can just activate them by pushing on the locking mechanism. You'll notice that we have a very simple pendant. This is an LB that every contractor has these laying around the job site if they have a problem or break one, easy to fix. In addition to that, we have installed a magnet so that unit will attach to any metal part of the bender when it's not in use. One of the greatest selling features of the 747 bender is the fact that almost every electrical item on the bender, that's the gearbox, the motor, all of these items, including the contactors, everything in this electrical system, are the exact same components that are on our 77 bender. The only difference in the electrical system between the 77 bender and the 747 bender are the components that make up the limit switch, which would be the limit switch itself and the items that hold the limit switch in, a couple wires, and then a contactor that controls the limit switch. So that's the only difference between this unit electrical system and the 77 bender electric system. Chris, we hope we've given you some kind of idea of the operation of this unit. We appreciate your help with it. We are going to also send the operating maintenance and safety and parts manual along with this unit. By no means have we tried to cover every single thing, but when you get the operation manual, you need to read it and look at all the instructions in there. It shouldn't take very long. This is a copy of it that you'll be getting. It probably won't take you 15 minutes to run through there, and knowing what you know about a bender, I think it'll be pretty easy for you to pick up on all the features and the great items with this bender. Thanks for your help.